Okay, good. Well, again, welcome, and I will just jump into it. I suggested that we could go through the Jagannathastakam. This is attributed to Sankaracarya. Now we're hearing some young person's voice, and hopefully we can turn off the microphone from that voice. Yes, Shri Jagannathastakam. So what we can do, we're not going to be hearing each other, but we can hear ourselves. And here's what I thought we'll do. I will chant the first. I will chant one line at a time and repeat the line. So we'll be chanting each line twice. This way we'll get through the Sanskrit. This version that we got the link to, unfortunately doesn't have diacritic marks, but we'll get the general rhythm in any case. And then after we recite it, then we can look at the translation. So I hope this is agreeable to everyone. Oh, I was gonna check for reactions. Video invite chat. Oh, chat. Okay, so I can see the chat. All right, are we ready? I don't think I'll sing this. I think I'll do more of a recitation. And we can try the first verse. Kadacit kālindī-tat a-vipina-san gītaka-ravo. Kadacit kālindī-tat a-vipina-san gītaka-ravo. Mudabhiri nari vadana kamala svāda-madupa. Mudabhiri nari vadana kamala svāda-madupa. Ramā-śambhu-brahmāmara-pati-gan eśārcita-pado. Ramā-śambhu-brahmāmara-pati-gan eśārcita-pado. Jagannathah Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu. Jagannathah Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu. Bhuje sabye venum shirasi śikhi-piccham katitate. Bhuje sabye venum shirasi śikhi-piccham katitate. Dukulam netrante sahacara-kat vidadate. Dukulam netrante sahacara-kat vidadate. Sada śrīmad-vr ndāvana-vasati-līlā-paricayo. Sada śrīmad-vr ndāvana-vasati-līlā-paricayo. Jagannathah Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu. Jagannathah Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu. Mahambodestire kanaka-rucire nīla-śikhare. Mahambodestire kanaka-rucire nīla-śikhare prasadanta sahaja-balabhadren balina prasadanta sahaja-balabhadren balina subhadrā-madhya-sthah sakala-sura-sevāvasara-do subhadrā-madhya-sthah sakala-sura-sevāvasara-do Jagannathastakam Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me Jagannathastakam Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me pā-pārāvārah sajala-jalada-śren i-ruciro pā-pārāvārah sajala-jalada-śren i-ruciro ramā-vāni ramā-śambhu-brahmāmara-pati-gan ramā-vāni ramā-śambhu-brahmāmara-pati-gan Surendra-radya Shruti-gana-sikha-gītaka-ravo Surendra-radya Shruti-gana-sikha-gītaka-ravo Jagannathah Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me Jagannathah Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me Ratarudho gachan patimilita buddheva patalai Ratarudho gachan patimilita buddheva patalai Stuti pradurbhavam pratipadam upakarnya sadayaha Stuti pradurbhavam pratipadam upakarnya sadayaha Daya sindur bandhu sakala jagatam sindhu sutaya Daya sindur bandhu sakala jagatam sindhu sutaya Jagannathah Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me Jagannathah Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me Parabrahma-pida kuvalaya dalot pulanayano Parabrahma-pida kuvalaya dalot pulanayano Nivasi niladra nihita charano nanta shirasi Nivasi niladra nihita charano nanta shirasi Rasanando Radha Sarasavapura Lingana Sukho Rasanando Radha Sarasavapura Lingana Sukho Jagannathah Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me Jagannathah Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me Navayache rajam nacha kanaka-manikya vibhavam Navayache rajam nacha kanaka-manikya vibhavam Nayache hamram yang sakala-janakam yam bharavadum Nayache hamram yang sakala-janakam yam bharavadum Sadakale kale pramatapatina gītaka-charito Sadakale kale pramatapatina gītaka-charito Jagannathah Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me Jagannathah Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me Haritam samsaram drutataram surapate Haratam samsaram drutataram surapate Haratam papannam vitatim-aparam yadavapate aratam papanam vitatim-aparam yadavapate ahodi nenate nihita-charano nischitamidam ahodi nenate nihita-charano nischitamidam Jagannathastakam Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me Jagannathastakam Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me Jagannathastakam punyam ya patit prayatah shuchi Jagannathastakam punyam ya patit prayatah shuchi sarva papa vishuddhatma Vishnulokam sagacchati sarva papa vishuddhatma Vishnulokam sagacchati. So the translation. Sometimes in great happiness, Lord Jagannath makes a loud concert with his flute in the groves on the banks of the Yamuna. He is like a bumblebee, tasting the beautiful lotus-like faces of the cowherd damsels of Raja. And great personalities such as Lakshmi, Shiva, Brahma, Indra, and Ganesha worship his lotus feet. May that Jagannatha Swami be the object of my vision. Of course, this last line, Jagannatha Swami nayana-patha-gāmī, is like a refrain. And this is also a kind of request that the Lord be visible to us. And what we're getting in this first verse, and actually practically all these verses, is a very visual picture of Lord Jagannath. We are invited to see him, and then we request him, Jagannatha Swami, nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me. Let me be in the path of your sight, in the path of your vision. In his left hand, Lord Jagannath holds a flute. On his head, he wears peacock feathers. And on his hips, he wears fine yellow silken cloth. From the corners of his eyes, he bestows sidelong glances upon his loving devotees. And he always reveals himself through his pastimes in his divine abode of Vrindavan. May that Jagannatha Swami be the object of my vision. Now, these first two verses are describing Lord Jagannath in Vrindavan, which is interesting because we usually think of Lord Jagannath in Puri. So the first two are setting a scene, but then in the next verses, we get a different description. Now Lord Jagannath has, so to say, moved to Jagannath Puri. So verse 3 reads, on the shore of the great ocean, within a large palace atop the brilliant golden Nilacala hill, Lord Jagannath resides with his powerful brother Balabhadra and his sister Subhadrā, who sits between them. May that Jagannatha Swami, who bestows the opportunity for devotion service upon all godly souls, be the object of my vision. So here, on the shore of the great ocean, is referring to what is now called the Bay of Bengal. And of course, Puri is there on the beach of the ocean, and just very close to the beach is what's called Nilacala. Now, devotees go to Puri and they wonder, where's this Nilacala? Chala means hill, blue hill. And you don't really notice so much of a hill. It's this very huge temple compound, huge walls surrounding it, which us Westerners are not allowed to enter. But within the compound, the temple itself is on a hill. You can see from the gate, the Singadwara, you can see many steps going up. So my understanding is that's the hill of Nilacala. And there's a prayer, Nilacala nivasaya nityaya paramatmane balabhadra subhadra jagannāthaya te namah. And that Lord Jagannath is Nilacala nivasa. He is he who resides on Nilacala hill. Number 4, Lord Jagannath is an ocean of mercy and as beautiful as a row of blackish rain clouds. He is the storehouse of bliss for Lakshmi and Saraswati, and his face resembles a spotless, full-blown lotus. The best of demigods and sages worship him, and the Upanishads sing his glories. May that Jagannathastakam Swami be the object of my vision. So we get this idea a few times that the Lord is surrounded by devotees. Here it mentions devas and sages worshiping him. The Upanishads, this verse is, this song or prayers, Ashtakam, is attributed to Adi Shankara. And we know Adi Shankara likes very much the Upanishads. So he says the Upanishads are singing Lord Jagannath's glories, which is interesting if indeed Sankaracarya wrote these verses. So he's making something of a confession here, that actually the Upanishads are glorifying the Lord. They're not just about some impersonal Brahman. Number 5, when Lord Jagannath moves along the road on his Ratha Yatra cart, I would say on his Ratha, at every step, large assemblies of Brahmins loudly chant prayers and sing songs for his pleasure. Hearing their hymns, Lord Jagannath becomes very favorably disposed toward them. He is the ocean of mercy and the true friend of all the worlds. May that Jagannath Swami, along with his consort Lakshmi, who was born from the ocean of nectar, be the object of my vision. So Lord Jagannath is referred to as an ocean of mercy in the previous verse and also in this verse. And here he is the true friend of all the worlds. Jagannath, of course, means, Natha means Lord or Master or Leader. Jagat means the universe, the world. Means means that which is in motion. The world is in flux. So he is the Lord of all that is in flux, this universe. And he is the consort of Lakshmi, and Lakshmi is known as Chanchala. She is flickering. She's here today and gone tomorrow, so to say. Wealth is granted for some time and then it's gone. Perhaps this is quite relevant for nowadays. People are so much unsettled in all different ways, including, and maybe especially for many people, economic ways. So it behooves us to worship Lord Jagannath, remembering that Lakshmi belongs to him, Jagannathastakam Swami. Lord Jagannath, whose eyes resemble full-blown lotus petals, is the ornament on Lord Brahma's head. He resides on Nilacala hill with his lotus feet placed on the heads of Ananta Deva. Overwhelmed by the mellows of love, he joyfully embraces Srimati Radharani's body, which is like a cool pond. May that Jagannatha Swami be the object of my vision. Interesting that he mentions the Lord embracing Srimati Radharani, considering again that this is supposed to be from Sankaracarya. And again, it's mentioned that he resides on Nilacala Hill. Just some months ago, in January, I visited Jagannath Puri, and I was happily surprised this time to see that the government has now made really very nice arrangement opening up the space in front of the Singadwara. Previously, it had been quite narrow spaces there, and also it was quite chaotic with all kinds of traffic just coming through. But now they've closed down the traffic. They've destroyed some buildings, and they've made it into a nice large plaza. So something to be said for governments when they do things for Krishna. Okay, number 7, I do not pray for a kingdom, nor do I pray for gold, rubies, or wealth. I do not ask for a beautiful wife as desired by all men. I simply pray that Jagannatha Swami, whose glorious Lord Shiva always sings, may be the constant object of my vision. Interesting. Glorious Lord Shiva always sings. Oh, I see. Whose glories Lord Shiva always sings. Okay. I was a minute confused. I was thinking it says Lord Shiva always sings. In general, yes. But what is he singing? He's singing the Lord's glories. And number 8, O Lord of the demigods, please quickly remove this useless material existence I am undergoing. O Lord of the Yadus, please destroy this vast, shoreless ocean of sins. Alas, this is certain. Lord Jagannath bestows his lotus feet upon those who feel themselves fallen and have no shelter in this world but him. May that Jagannatha Swami be the object of my vision. So, understanding Lord Jagannath to be our only shelter. This is a good idea. Since he's the Lord of the whole universe, all of our shelter that we're trying to get in this universe is really best if we direct it to the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath, who, where does it say? His feet are placed on the heads of Anantadeva, and he is the ornament on Lord Brahma's head. That's interesting. Finally, we get the Palashruti. This is verse 9. The self-restrained, virtuous soul who recites these 8 verses, glorifying Lord Jagannath, becomes cleansed of all sins and duly proceeds to Lord Vishnu's abode. So, chanting these verses is good. It's purifying. It can lead to Vishnu's abode. Now you may protest and say, I don't want to go to Vishnu's abode. I want to go to Krishna's abode. Well, I would say here it's inclusive because first verses are describing Lord Jagannath as playing a flute in Vrindavan. So that seems to be saying that Lord Jagannath is none other than Krishna. Jagannatha Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me. Jagannatha Swami nayana-patha-gāmī bhavatu me. Okay. So I'm going to close something here because my computer's already heating up. Okay, that, and we can quit this. So since we're living in a, so to say, locked down world, all of us are in the same boat, so to say. We're each in our own little worlds, but we're all on the same planet. But each in our own little worlds, we are each doing what we can to hear and chant and remember Krishna. And many of you, I would imagine, many of you I know, are having deities at home. And while we are deprived of the possibility to go to temples to worship Krishna, as Srila Prabhupada would often say, there is no restriction in the worship of Krishna. There is no, we can always worship Krishna in any circumstance. And in particular, we can worship Krishna in his deity form at home. My computer keeps telling me that it's getting overheated. Let me close some more things here. Machines are very nice when they work. Let's see what happened here. They're not so nice when they don't work, so I want this to keep working. I've just been reading, rereading the introduction to His Holiness Shivaram Swami's 8-volume book, Navavraja Mahima. Some of you may know, some of you may not know that he has written this amazing book, which is 8 volumes, thick volumes. They're like 400 pages each. And the subject of these books is the glorification, Mahima, of Navavraja, of new Vraja. So new Vraja Dham. And what he's doing in these books is essentially he's giving an 8-volume plus 1 volume of maps guidebook for doing Vraj Mandala Parikrama, but specifically Vraj Mandala Parikrama in New Vrajadam. At the same time, he's constantly referring to Boma Vrindavan. And I've been reading this with a particular immediate motivation because I am preparing one academic presentation for a conference which, because of let's see what's happening. Repair, show repairs, save. Okay, I'm still trying to close some programs here. Yes, there's a conference coming up, an academic conference on pilgrimage. And the pilgrimage, the conference, because of all the pandemic fears, is going to be conducted online. And it's going to be done at the end of June. So I'm gradually preparing for that. They have accepted my proposal, which is to speak about New Vrajadam as a place of pilgrimage. So the point I want to make is that Shivaram Swami is emphasizing that anywhere where is Krishna, and Krishna is present in his deity form, that place must necessarily also be the holy dham. It must be, we may say, a kind of extension of the holy dham. And so I think this is a very nice meditation. Here we all are sitting in our various enclosures in lockdown mode. But if we have Krishna, even if you don't have a three-dimensional deity, but if you have, even if you just have picture of Radha and Krishna, maybe you have your favorite deity, photo of deities of the nearby temple. So that is also a form of deity. And so Shivaram Swami is making this point, where there is the deity, there is the Dhamma. And where there is the Dhamma, we can meditate on being in the Dhamma. As we go about our activities with an effort to center our activities on the service of the deity, service to Krishna. While I've been here at Nilacala Vedic village, there's one brahmachari, older brahmachari, I mean middle-aged brahmachari, who, when I mentioned I have shalagram shilas, I was sort of thinking, what shall I do? What arrangement shall I make for them while I'm here? Just sort of looking in the room I'm staying, you know, where's a place to put them? There's not really such an ideal place. Anyway, I was just chatting with him and he said, oh, I will, if you like, I will take them and keep them with my shalagram shilas, and I will worship them with my shalagram shilas every day. And I said, well, yeah, sure, why not? So, and he does very nice worship. He spends, I think he spends 2 hours every day. He has, so I guess about 6 shalagram shilas, and then adding the 3 that I have, about 9. And he has been teaching some of the other boys here how to do the worship. So I'm very happy about that. We also have Lord, the temple is Jagannath Subhadrā Baladev, and small Radha Krishna deities, they're called Shri Radha Vana-vihari, because this is the country, so Vana means forest, and small Shri Gornitai. So each of you who have deities, or even if you have a picture, you may already be doing some daily service. That's very nice. Maybe you're already doing for many years. That's very nice. I just was thinking, since we're all kind of sitting in our spaces, we might want to discuss about this practice of worshiping Krishna at home. And I would say one thing we could do, one way we could, there's two ways we could start, I can think of. One is that we just start if you have any questions. And another way we could start is, maybe I should start this way. I mentioned it last time. Reading, or maybe a little bit summarizing some of what I've been writing. Because what I've been doing while I've been here is I started writing a book. And I don't have a title for the book yet. But the subject is deity worship. And the audience for the book is a sort of general audience. My old friend, His Holiness Devamrita Swami in Mayapur, invited me to write this book. He said, we need a book that explains deity worship to a general public. And if you write this book, he said, I'll make sure it's published by the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. So this is a nice proposal. And after thinking about it, I thought a sort of conversation format might be the best to attract people, so it doesn't get too no one gets bogged down in the details. So I've written about 40 pages of this so far, and it's a conversation between one Swami. I think his name is going to be Krishna Kshetra Swami. And two students who are brother and sister. One is named Jake, and I think he is going to be a journalism student. And his sister, Angela. Angela is a little older than Jake, and she has been already working as a physical therapist, but she's not completely happy with her job. She has decided her real heart is in chaplaincy, multi-faith chaplaincy in the hospital. She wants to help people in hospital through their faith. She wants to encourage like that. So she's wants to study and qualify herself for that. And because she's interested in religion, she has come along with her brother, Jake, to hear what do these Hare Krishnas have to say? What are they all about? So this is, I can read a little bit. Well, the first section, I'm just setting the scene. So I'm introducing Jake, and he's saying, you know, I consider myself fairly open-minded, and I like you, Hare Krishnas. Your food is great, and your philosophy makes a lot of sense to me, but there's one thing that's really kind of hard for me to grasp, and that is the idols in your temples. I think you call them deities. And then he asks the Swami, could you tell me something about this? And he says, I remember from my childhood in Christian Sunday school that in the Bible, one of the 10 commandments is, thou shalt make no graven images. And it seems like you Krishnas, you have these images in your temples. Seems like you would be a prime target for the accusation of idolatry. And then the Swami responds and he says, yes, I'm happy to talk about this. And yes, I also came from a Christian background. And yes, I'm familiar with that commandment. And I say a couple of things about that. And I tell a little more about my own experience when I was younger. And then I say, okay, let's talk about this, this subject, but this is going to take a little time. So how much time do you have? And he says, well, I don't know how much time. I'm kind of waiting for a phone call, but in any case, maybe we can get started and I'll come back another time. You can explain more. So, okay, we agree on that. And I say to Jake, why don't we already plan now that you come tomorrow here to the temple for lunch? Tomorrow is Sunday. We have a special Sunday program. Why don't you come? And he says, great. And this is how the scene is set. And then I start a section which I call divine cautions. Caution means being careful. And first I talk about the idea of darshan. And I say, what we're talking about here is a special kind of seeing. You might call it philosophical seeing. And Jake says, I guess what you're saying is that there is something like philosophical seeing, that this is what you do when seeing an image of Krishna in the temple. And I say, well, yes, you're partly right. Philosophical seeing can be a way of saying seeing with understanding. My point is actually kind of obvious. We don't just see with our eyes. We also, or more importantly, see with our understanding. And this is the case practically all the time. And yes, this applies to seeing an image of Krishna in the temple. There's a learning process involved in this, and it's about learning a special kind of seeing. But here's a broader point we need to think about. Whatever we see or think we see as we go through life, whether just physically or with our understanding, we're forgetting or ignoring the real seer, the supreme seer or God. This is a major point for understanding this practice of temple worship, or what in the ancient Sanskrit language is called murti seva. And then Jake says, murti what? And then the Swami says, murti seva, pronounced like turti seva. Murti means anything which has definite shape, and seva means attentive service. The idea is that the Supreme Being, who is the real, ultimate seer, facilitates our engaging in his service with careful attention by showing or revealing his definite divine form to our very limited powers of sight. And then Jake says, well, you're going to have to spell this out for me. So I put into like an invitation, please elaborate. So like this, I go on. In this first conversation, we just have Jake. And I introduce then Essentially, what I've done in the 4th chapter of that book, some of you may know, it was my master's thesis called Krishna Seva. The 4th chapter is specifically about, it's sort of raising the question, are Vaishnavas idolaters in the Abrahamic sense, which is very negative? And I address that question by describing what the Abrahamic understanding of idolatry is. Idolatry has actually 5 different aspects according to the scholar that I studied at the time. So what I'm doing in this book is taking this whole subject of our Gaudiya Vaishnava deity worship. Of course, we could speak of Indian traditions more generally, but I'm keeping it focused in this way. And going through each of these, what we may call accusations of idolatry, and then responding to them with our understanding of who is Krishna, how it is possible that the Lord can appear in a physical form, if he can be accessible in the form of sound, and it seems this was accepted by the Abrahamic traditions, then why not also in physical form? What is the danger of that? And so on. So that's what I've been working on. So that's just a little bit from my side. Now, I would like suggestions or questions from any of you on the subject of deity worship at home. There is a question here from Gokulananda Hari. Do I have any writing guide for us on this topic? Writing guide on the topic of deity worship? Well, I don't have a writing guide on that. I did write this little invitation, maybe that's what you're referring to, which I've sent to some people, an invitation to write something on 2nd Canto Bhagavatam. It's more of an invitation, not so much of a guide, but it gives some general brief guidelines, if that's what you mean. So that we can send. Okay, here we have Tattvavit asking a question. Is it obligatory to make an abhishek of deities every day? And I think behind the question is, I hope not. Because if it's obligatory, that sounds like something we have to do, even if we don't want to do. So one of the main general guidelines that's given for home worship in the Hari Bhakti Vilasa of Sanatana Goswami. And we finally do know that it's Sanatana Goswami was the author. Gopal Bhatta Goswami may have helped, but it was essentially Sanatana. In the very short discussion he gives, I don't remember which chapter it is, but he refers to worship at home. And basically he just says, whatever you do it nicely. And keep the regulation that you are able to keep. In other words, you make the adjustment according to your household, according to the schedule of your household, according to your demands, according to the time that you have, and so on, you adjust accordingly. Now, one of the reasons I thought it's nice to speak about this now with this shutdown, this lockdown, is it might be the case for some of you, maybe not all of you, but it might be the case for some of you that you have extra time, extra time to worship Krishna. And this could be a time when you can sit down with the deity and just really take your time. If you don't have any of the deity worship books with you, maybe you can find online. In the Veda-base, we have the Pancharatra Pradipa is available in at least the later versions of the Veda-base. And you can work your way through. You can take your time and just because there's no rush, you can do a nice abhishek. Or you may say, well, no, I can't really do an abhishek with all of the things that are described in the Pancharatra Pradipa. Because I don't have them at home and I can't go to the shop to purchase them, so here I am. So then what? To which I would answer, all right, here's where manasa or manasika puja comes in. Whatever it is you don't have in physical form, you can magically manifest through your mind. And there's no limit to what you can do with mental worship. You can be extremely elaborate. I like to say when I'm explaining this, you can have a whole procession with your deities in the house. A mental procession. You can bring an elephant into your living room, a mental elephant, and have the deity on the elephant. Or you can bring in a rath cart, a pure golden rath cart. Why not? You can offer all the best of flowers. Speaking of flowers, just a couple of hours ago, a devotee brought 2 garlands, Mahaprasad garlands to me from Sri Radha Rasa Bihari from Juhu. And I don't know the name of the flowers that these garlands are made with, but they really, really have an amazing aroma. And they're filling the whole room. So I wanted to share that aroma with you, but that's one thing that it's very difficult to share on Zoom. So you just have to imagine. So anyway, you can offer all kinds of flowers and all kinds of fruit and all kinds you can cook. Of course, Srila Prabhupada tells the story of the devotee, the Brahmin. It's in his Nectar of Devotion. The story of the Brahmin who performs an elaborate worship for his deity in his mind, including to prepare sweet rice. He's cooking the sweet rice and he wants to check the sweet rice to make sure that it's not hot, because it's best to offer cold. And to do this, he puts his finger in the sweet rice, and when he does this, his finger burns. And when he pulls out his finger, it's physically burned because his absorption of his mind was so intense that his physical body was affected. And then Prabhupada goes on to say, maybe it's straight from Rupa Goswami, that the Lord in Vaikuntha was very pleased with this and came and took him back to Vaikuntha. So, yeah, the idea is that manasika puja can make up for any lack that we may have. Now, back to the question, do we have to do abhishek of the deity every day? Put it this way, we want to serve Krishna with all the essential services that we would have for ourselves. We take a bath every day. So why shouldn't Krishna also have a bath? But it could be the case that your schedule does not allow you to spend very much time on certain days, maybe most days of the week, maybe only one day of the week you have more time, then you can do the full, or at least a water abhishek. Other days, at least some manasika snan, I would say is nice. So let's see, question from Pandava. Can you recommend the episode from Sanatana Goswami who visited Grihastas, who played with the deity and informed them about the offenses and proper worship they followed, and deity appeared in his dream rebuking him, "Why did you spoil the mood they treated me?" Okay, I think this is referring to, there is some account that before Madan Mohan came to Sanatana Goswami, he was worshipped in Mathura. He was known as Madan Gopal, and he was worshipped by one Brahmin family named Chobe. I remember that much. And the family had an extremely, we may say, casual attitude to the deity. And when Sanatana Goswami came there on his rounds of collecting bakshish, bhikshu, he saw this and he was rather upset. He felt this is too casual. They were, so to say, playing with Madan Gopal as if he is one of their children. So I don't remember all the details of what happens, but eventually this deity comes to Sanatana Goswami and takes shelter of him. And Sanatana Goswami serves him, and eventually, of course, he has this wonderful temple built for him, which, by the way, now has an exact replica, 100% replica, perfectly same size, perfectly same materials, this sandstone, everything the same in Govardhan Eco Village. And now they have installed Shri Radha Madan Mohan, copies of the original Madan Mohan. And it so happened that they arranged for the priest of the Madan Mohan temple, the head priest in Karoli. This is where the original deity is now present. It's a village or town called Karoli. And the devotees arranged for this priest to come and preside over the installation of Radha Madan Mohan and Lalita Devi in Govardhan Eco Village. And as they were completing the installation and the priest of the Karali temple was performing the arati, there were tears in his eyes. His Holiness Radhanath Swami was telling us about this some months ago. There were tears in his eyes, and Radhanath Swami noticed this. And he asked, after the arati was over, he asked the priest, he said, excuse me, but I couldn't help but notice that there were tears in your eyes as you were offering the arati. May I ask, why was this so? And his answer was, I have seen that now, finally, after 450 years, Madan Mohan has returned to Vrindavan. So Madan Mohan, the original deity, left Vrindavan because of the fear of invasion from the Muslim rulers and so on. And he has settled in Karoli, but now he has also settled in Govardhan Eco Village. So this comes back to the point I made before, that the place where the deity is present, that place is where, that is the holy Dham. So it's very nice to meditate in this way, how even our little humble apartment, our house, whatever it is we may have, can be the holy Dham, the place of Krishna and all his associates. There's a question here from Dira Lalita. History of deity worship at home. From the, so to say, top of my head, I would just mention that several of our acharyas were worshiping Krishna at home. We know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's father, Jagannath Mishra, was worshiping a very small deity of Vishnu, of Vasudeva. And the reason we know that, as I remember, is because when the construction began for the Yoga Pit, the temple at the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the appearance place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as they were digging for the foundations, they found this deity. And somehow it was understood that this is from Jagannath Mishra. We know that Advaita Acharya was worshipping Shalagram Shila. Well, I have to say, we hear that it's Shalagram Shila, but it's not mentioned explicitly in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Perhaps it's mentioned in another text, I don't know. But we do know that he was worshipping Krishna because we know that he was offering tulsi leaves and sandalwood paste, which is perhaps indicating that he was worshipping Shalagram Shila. He was worshipping and he was praying. And what was he praying for? He was praying that the Lord will appear because he was feeling himself inadequate to raise up the fallen condition of the people of this fallen age. And so with loud cries, it said, he was worshiping his deity, pleading with the Lord to appear. And it's said that the immediate reason, there are so many reasons that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, but the immediate reason was that his devotee, Advaita Acharya, begged him to appear. Also, Srivas Thakur was worshipping deity. Who else? Many of the associates of Mahaprabhu, the householder associates of Mahaprabhu. And of course, Mother Shachi was worshipping, because there are so many accounts of how she would prepare food and she would offer to her home deity, and would also offer a plate to her son, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Earlier history, I wouldn't be able to say much immediately. Certainly in the Sri Sampradaya, there is home worship. And in the Madhva Sampradaya, we see it also. So it would be going back to certainly early times. It's also said that, going to ancient times, that the deity of Krishna, who is known as Udupi Krishna, was originally worshipped by Rukmini Devi, if I remember correctly, that this deity, Udupi Krishna, was originally in Dwaraka. And then there's a whole story about how he eventually comes to what is now Udupi. There's also, we make all this home worship. As you may know, we've just been hearing Ram Leela with the appearance of Lord Ram a few days ago. So after Ramachandra returned to Ayodhya, and after some time he, in this very sad pastime, he banishes Sita to the ashram of Valmiki, where she, who is pregnant, gives birth to the twins, Lava and Kusha. And eventually, Rama comes to that ashram. He wants to beg Sita to return to the palace, but she refuses. Instead, she enters into the earth, returning to her source, because she is called Sita, which means furrow, that which is created by a plow. When you plow a field, that is called in English a furrow. Sita means furrow. So she appeared from the earth. She, in a sense, represents or embodies the earth. She returned to the earth. It is said in Valmiki Ramayana that Lord Rama, in his feeling of viraha, of separation from Sita, continued to perform his duties as a king in Ayodhya. And as a dutiful king, he performed yajna every day. But to perform yajna as a householder, for it to be efficacious, for it to be proper for the householder, the sponsor, the yajamana, the householder's wife must be present at the sacrifice. And so Lord Rama commissioned to have a deity of Sita prepared in pure gold And then this golden Sita was installed. So Sita, in effect, did return. If we understand that the Lord is present in his deity form, and Srila Prabhupada says, for the person who is so qualified, the deity can behave, can act in all the ways that the deity acts, or that the Lord acts in the spiritual world. So that's history going back, that's home worship, if you like, going back a long time. Let's see, here's a question. In the Bible it said one should not worship an idol. My question is, that means that we here in the material world worship body of the people. Is that Jesus Christ want to tell us that we are not this body? Okay, that's, I'm no expert on the teachings of the Bible. It's been many years. I was a young boy when I was reading the Bible in Sunday school. I was taken every week by my mother, my brother and I, to Sunday school, it was called. And we would read, not just in Sunday school, at home. My mother was very pious. She would read the Bible. Yes, we could say this is certainly a teaching of Jesus. And of course, the Ten Commandments are not given by Jesus. They're given to Moses centuries before. And then Jesus is saying, I am not coming to challenge or change the law. I'm here to affirm the law, something like that. But yes, we could say that these commandments, in a sense, are teaching this principle of the difference between body and soul. Let's see. Okay. Here's a question from Sunanda. Hare Krishna, Sunanda. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisance and all glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. I want to ask if someone gives to us shalagram which is manipulated one way that someone grind the shila with a grinder and try to open, and that's visible, I guess it says. Is it okay to worship? Hare Krishna. Oh, yeah, this is the unfortunate thing that some people, they want to break open shalagram because people understand that there may be gold inside the shalagram shila. And you'll see this. So the time that I visited the Kali Gandaki and searched for shalagram shilas, that was many moons ago. That was 1987. Ooh, okay. Ouch. That's more than 30 years ago. Okay. So I spent, I think it was 2 or 3 days just searching for shalagram shilas and finding many in the riverbed of the Kali Gandaki. And some of these that I found were cracked open because especially children, they would find the shilas and they will crack them open. So the question is, can one worship a defaced or a broken shila? As I recall, it's said in Hari Bhakti Vilasa seems to be saying two things. One is that certain Shalagram Shilas are auspicious and certain ones are not auspicious depending on the color and this and that. Brown is thought to be inauspicious, like that. But then it also says any Shalagram Shila in any condition is worshipable and is present, is the Lord, is present. Now, having just said that, I want to add something that I learned also from Shivaram Swami from his book. In a footnote, he mentioned something I had not seen before. He mentions that Srila Jiva Goswami explains in his Bhakti Sandarbha that Shalagram Shila is the seat of the Lord in the same way as the Dhamma. So the Shalagram is also representing the Dhamma. I always understood Shalagram Shila is Narayan, is a form of Narayan appearing in this world. Jiva Goswami, he's not denying this, I think, but he is saying that Shalagram is the seat, and we may say the Dhamma of the Lord. Hridayananda and Mayapur Leela are asking if we have deity and Shalagram Shilas, to whom we offer Bhoga only to Shilas or to all of them at the same time. This can be a matter of preference. It can be that you worship one as your main. Generally, the idea is that we have one main deity, and we offer whatever we offer to that deity, and all the others, forms of the Lord and his associates, they receive that offering in a sort of secondary place, in a secondary position. In the Radharaman temple, in Vrindavan, they have, of course, the main deity is Radharaman. And all Bhoga offerings they make first to Radharaman, and then they offer the prasad of Radharaman to Srimati Radharani in her form as the expression is slipping my mind right now, but they have a special form as a yantra, as Gaddi Seva, they call it. Gaddi, G-A-D-D-I, which means also seat. Anyway, they offer to Srimati Radha, and then they offer to the Shalagram Shilas that were worshipped by Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and then they offered to Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So you have to kind of decide who is your main deity and worship and offer to them first. But you can also, it may be that you are doing some services for your main deity through the representation of Shalagram Shila. That's possible. So bathing in particular, you may just offer to Shalagram Shila because it's easy to bathe them and so on. That's a possibility. then we have Avadutta 108. That must be Avadutta. Hare Krishna, Jiva Goswami says that various types of devotion service cannot be complete without kirtan. Indeed. Thus, is it compulsory to have kirtan after archana, and why is Krishna more happy than archana? Well, I wouldn't say more happy than archana. More happy with the name than with archana. Okay, one general point we might want to make is, of course, we find ourselves in the age of Kali, and the Yuga Dharma for us in this age is to chant the holy names. And so, in a sense, okay, but that does not mean that we eliminate other forms of worship. And Jiva Goswami also encourages that we worship Krishna in deity form, because this is helpful for us to maintain sattva guna. We have to be regulated, we have to be clean, and so on. But to do all this archana and then to forget to chant Hare Krishna, this would be incomplete. In other words, to make the worship complete, we glorify the Lord, and in particular, we glorify through His holy name. And with His holy name, of course, we invoke Him. So we are invoking Him before we worship by chanting, and we're also affirming His presence, if you like, by chanting at the conclusion of the worship. And then comes a further question. I spoke with some devotees worshipping Shalagram Shila. Some say before the puja, no other activities should be done, like eating. And some told me, we are a bit more spontaneous about hard rules. The Lord is happy at any time you are worshiping Him. What is your opinion on this? Well, I don't want to judge devotees. I think the general principle here is always to try to do what is pleasing to the Lord. And of course, a devotee may feel a strong conviction that it is more pleasing to the Lord that I worship Him later in the day after eating and so on. Maybe that's possible. And of course, we could say, well, the test is if the devotee is not struck by lightning, then it must be okay. But there are some quite strong statements in Hari Bhakti Vilasa. Again, as I remember, it's been a long time since I've read, but there are verses with strong warning that one should do the Shalagram worship in the early morning after bathing, before eating. Now, the general idea, whenever there's a regulation of any kind, we want to ask, what is the principle here? What is the reason? What is the idea? Here, the idea is that Krishna is the first enjoyer. Bhoktaram yadgyatavasam. He is the bhoktri. He is the enjoyer. And we want to cultivate a sense of ourselves as being in the position of being Krishna's servant. and attending to Krishna's desires and Krishna's needs, and putting our own desires, our own needs to the side. And you can say there's a delicate balance here. One can, and I'm writing about this in this book. As we know, Rupa Goswami says in his Upadeshamrita, Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha. Niyama agraha and niyama agraha are two ways that this regulation can be read. Niyama agraha means to neglect. Niyama, regulation. Niyama, it means regulation. Graha means to accept. Agraha means to not accept or to neglect. But Rupa Goswami writes niyamagraha. And by Sanskrit rules, this can be taken in two ways, either as niyama agraha or niyama agraha. And agraha with long A would mean not just accepting, but in a sense, over-accepting, becoming fanatical, we may want to say. And now this is where the challenge comes, where we may have to use our own intelligence to know and to be honest with ourselves also, to know, am I being lax? Am I being lazy? Or the other way, am I being fanatical by stretching myself in ways which are ultimately so troublesome that I don't feel any inner pleasure of Krishna from what I'm doing, and the rest of my family is disturbed by what I'm doing, or whatever it is. So that, especially for home worship, we need to determine ourselves and be honest with ourselves. And what I find is, I sometimes say to devotees, do a bit of experimentation, see what it is that works best. What is it that you can do in a regular way? What can you do day after day? What can you do week after week? And what is it that helps you? You look forward to doing the worship. If you're not looking forward to it, if it's just a chore, then also you have to kind of step back and ask yourself, what is the point? Okay, questions are, Divyambra is asking, how would you explain Shalagram Shila worship to Jake and Angela? Stone worship might be too much for them to take. Yes, actually I introduced Shalagram worship to Jake and Angela because I'm telling them the story of how Radharaman appears as a svāyambhuva, as a self-manifest deity. So I tell the whole story with Shalagram Shila transforming and so on. And one thing I introduce, because Jake in particular, he is a very candid fellow. He says sometimes, you know, Swami, this is really hard to believe, what you're telling me. So I say to him, yes, I know this is difficult. So what I'm asking you to do is to make what's called suspension of disbelief. Suspension of disbelief. And this is a phrase which comes from one English poet from the early 19th century, Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Suspension, I mean, he had a different sort of context of what he was talking about, but suspension of disbelief. And I say to him, I'm not telling you to suspend your reasoning, but I'm suggesting that you suspend your disbelief to make room for possibly expanding your reasoning. And so, yeah, Jake sort of he seems to take that in, and we continue the discussion. Some of the points that I bring up in this conversation in the book, my idea is that I want to keep the conversation going, to keep a certain momentum, but I'm going to include end notes. And the end notes will be for people who are interested in getting more detail on something. And so I may include an end note about Shalagram Shila, but right now I've just been focusing on the dialogue. Okay, let me just check. Maybe I should stop and ask. There are some more questions here, but maybe I should just check in and make sure everyone can hear. Or maybe I shouldn't ask everyone because then I'm going to get 97 different answers. Maybe I should say if anyone doesn't hear, but then you won't hear me asking this question, what to do. Anyway, I guess we're doing okay for now. Huh? Okay, we have a question from Alalanat from Prague. Very nice. A question from Nitai Navadvipa Chandra Prabhu. Worshipping the deities at home without second initiation. Srila Prabhupada mentioned the deities of Gora and Nitai can be distributed to karmis and that kirtan is enough to worship them. Then he also said that deity worship should be done at home, only after proper training in the temple, or you cannot worship, or rather shouldn't worship without second initiation. I haven't found anything in Hari Bhakti Vilas or Narada Pancharatra that without second initiation, one can worship the deities. Quite the contrary. Oh, Pujari has just appeared with some fruit from the afternoon offering. So, that's it seems to me that it's looser today. The Maharajas allow worshipping Gaur Nitai without proper initiation, and the time has come so far that I know 2 devotees who worship Shalagram without second initiation. So where is the balance of deity worship according to the Shastra and instructions of Srila Prabhupada? Yeah, okay. Big question. With questions like this, I think a general principle, again, is where we want to look. And here, the general principle is, what is this initiation? The initiation is, you're referring to second initiation, and there is the whole discussion about what constitutes initiation, what constitutes diksha. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained the system of pancha, what is it? Pancha, 5 aspects of initiation. And the final one of these 5 aspects is yaga. And yaga in our tradition means that the guru gives a deity to the disciple to worship. The disciple has received mantra, and so he's received deity in the form of mantra, which then allows him to worship the deity in the proper way. The physical deity is worshipped with mantra. So that's the principle. The principle is to worship in such a way that the Lord is actually receiving the worship, is actually present, and we who are doing the worship are feeling the reciprocation of the Lord. Now, everything else is, you can say, detail, is adjustment. We may want to say that someone who is not first initiated, not second initiated, but has Gaura-Nitai at home, are being prepared to receive second initiation. And that should be the understanding or the aim of the devotee who has deities. He or she may have received the blessings of the guru to begin the worship. And in this case, I would say that that devotee is doing the worship under the blessings of the guru, which means, in effect, it's the guru who is doing the worship and we are assisting. And we may be assisting in a very imperfect way, and the guru is waiting for the time that he or she feels that the devotee is ready for the final formal second initiation. So that would be my understanding. Another general point about the Hari Bhakti Vilasa. The Hari Bhakti Vilasa is a kind of, it's an interesting book in many ways. When I studied the Hari Bhakti Vilasa, I was constantly wondering at how it is composed and why it is composed the way it is. So much of what's in the Hari Bhakti Vilasa is rather strange because the sources for the Hari Bhakti Vilasa are not strict. Not all the sources are from Pancharatra. They are from other forms, other types of tantra, and other texts. So it's an assemblage of many different sources, and the exact purpose of that book would seem to have been to demonstrate to the wider Brahmin community in which the Goswamis were living that they had a proper, respectable system of worship. And so the Goswamis, should be respected by the wider community of Brahmins. There were Brahmins in Mathura at the time of the Goswamis. They were a long family tradition of Brahmins worshiping the Lord in the form of Varahadev. There are, I think, 2, maybe 3 Varahadev, very ancient deities in Mathura. Now, that's my theory. Okay, that's pretty much what I can say on that subject. Antardvip and Ashtasakhipriya. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, can you maybe tell more about that? Srila Prabhupada said that when you have small children, this is your deity now. Yes. Well, I think the point is fairly straightforward, that Srila Prabhupada was saying you have a primary duty when you have small children. You have to take care of the small children. Don't make the mistake of thinking, oh, I have to worship the deity, therefore I must neglect my children. Prabhupada is saying, no, that is a misunderstanding. A general principle, again, which is understood from Hari Bhakti Vilasa in the little that it does say about home worship, is that the deity in the home can be thought of as a highly honored guest, where the emphasis is on the word guest. And a guest is not demanding. When we visit someone, we are aware, we are accommodating ourselves to them. We don't make demands of our hosts. This is different from a temple where the Lord makes demands on his servitors. Because in the temple, the mood is that the Lord is like a king. And the king has expectations. The guest in the house, who is a highly respected guest, is nonetheless a guest. And therefore, there is flexibility in home worship. There's flexibility. It's understood. You have duties, you have family, things come up unexpectedly. You do the best you can. You make adjustments. You pray to Krishna, my dear Lord, I'm sorry today everything has gone topsy-turvy. Something unexpected. I have to take my daughter to the dentist, whatever. Krishna understands. Okay. Okay, we have a question from Manibanda, I think it is. Yes. When I make the bhoga offering to the deities, my son insists on helping me. The problem is that he sometimes ends up stealing part of the offering, or when removing the offering from the altar, he steals the tulsi leaves directly from the deity's plate. Is this ruining the offering? Is this a serious offense? I would say no, I don't see it as a serious offense. The fact that you're making an offering, first of all, Krishna can be a very fast eater. And Krishna knows when your son is going to come and steal something. And so he is ready for when that happens. He's also ready for when he steals the tulsi. The main thing is that you are teaching your son in a gentle way, because small children cannot understand. So you gradually teach. You say, this is for Krishna first, and then after you can take. And gradually he will understand. But not that you become upset or angry and there's no need to worry. Krishna understands. Krishna sees the intention. Krishna is bhavagrahi janardana. Bhavagrahi janardana. Bhava, he is the Lord who grasps the intention. Here the word bhava can mean intention or mood. And grahi, I spoke about niyama agraha, graha means to grasp, and grahi is one who grasps. So the Lord, Janardana is another name, is the grasper of our bhava, of our mood. And then we have a question from Hari Parshad. Please up the base and says, Jai Srila Prabhupada, I don't have my own deities yet, and I don't know much at all, but I'm sure my favorite deities are in Golokadam, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan. Every day I worship them through photography. Beautiful deities, very forgiving to me. Guru Maharaj, please allow me to cordially greet all devotees, especially Nadia Nimai, Prabhu, and Malati Mala Mataji, who are especially dear to me and who can see and worship these wonderful deities every day. Hare Krishna. So that's a nice message. Hari Parshad is in Poland, and so he's rather far away from Madan Mohan, who are over on the opposite, on the southwest side of Germany. Radha Madan Mohan ki jai. Radha Madan Mohan were originally in Schloss Rettershof, outside of Frankfurt, when they were first installed back in 1975, I guess. And then in 1979, they were moved to Singachalam, which at that time we called Navajiyada Nrsimha Kshetra. And then they again moved to their present location, which is Aventuer. I think we just got a view. My suspicion is this is Rasodati Hari. We're getting a view of the back of his computer and some plugs on the wall. No, it's not. Okay, somebody else. I guess somebody put down their phone and left the room. Anyway. General standards for grihastas worshipping Radha Krishna at home. Ooh. Big subject. Oh, here we are. Hare Krishna. Ashta Sakhi Priya, Hare Krishna. And your little one. I don't remember his name. So, Radha Krishna worship at home for grihastas. Grihastas tend to be busy people, especially if they are themselves priests in the temple and have, how many children is it now? 2, 3? What I would say is do the best you can, worship them nicely, and teach your children to worship them nicely, to be attracted to them. One thing we don't want is that children have negative associations with deities. This is a big mistake. If householders make the deities so much sort of off limits, they can actually, I don't know, I could imagine it could be even traumatic experience for children. And then when they grow up, their association with Krishna becomes, instead of being what we want, which is that they are attracted to Krishna, that they have some negative feeling toward Krishna. That's not what, obviously, that's not what we want. So there's some sort of a balancing act you have to do. Make nice worship as you are able, and make it in such a way that the children are also comfortable, that they're attracted. I always remember, I've told sometimes about a Grihastha family I met many years ago. Actually, it was 1987 when I went for shalagram hunting in Nepal. I came back to Kathmandu and someone told me about this Brahmin who is very knowledgeable about shalagram shilas. And they gave me the address and I went to visit. And it was a whole family. They had a kind of village. It was a family temple. It was their own temple. I don't remember now. I think it was Radha Krishna because they were Nimbarkis. Radha Krishna and the local people in the neighborhood would come. But the family were all engaged in worshiping the deity. It was amazing. They were all doing something for this, for the deities. It was kind of like, it was like a picture out of, I don't know, 100 years ago or something. And the atmosphere was very attractive. It was very, very sweet atmosphere. But all I would say is use your common sense, do what is practical. You might find that you can do maybe only minimal worship most of the days of the week, but one day of the week you can do a more elaborate worship. You sit down and chant nice mantras, and just make a nice worship without a big rush. Dira Lalita is asking about how my personal deities came about. Well, let's see. We could go back to the story of the Shalagram Shilas that were stolen from me in Argentina. That would have been, what year? That was back in the 1990s, early 90s. Must have been. When did I first come to Argentina? 1989? Yes. And then I started coming once a year. And I had at that time 6 Shalagram Shilas and 2 Govardhan Shilas. Now, the Shalagram Shilas I mentioned I had acquired in Nepal. I had gone to the Kali Gandaki and I had collected altogether some 50 Shalagram Shilas, 50. And I gave most of them to devotees in Scotland because they found out that I had them. And they called me up. We heard you have Shalagram Shilas. Yes. And they were collecting as many as they could. They wanted to have 12,000 of them or whatever. I said, okay, here, take 40 of them. Anyway, and the two Govardhan Shilas were given to me by my god brother, His Holiness Parthasarathi Goswami, who lives in South Africa. Anyway, one day, all of them were in a bag. We were traveling, I think we were traveling from Buenos Aires to Rosario by airplane. We were in the airport. I had the Shalagram Shilas in a bag, a shoulder bag. There were two other devotees with me. We checked in, then we went to wait to go through, to go to the airplane. And I gave my bag to the two devotees while I went to use the bathroom. And they put the bag on some other bags that they had. And then I went to the bathroom and I came back and I asked them, where's my shoulder bag? And they looked and I looked and we all looked and we realized it's gone. Someone was very fast in taking the Shalagram Shila bag. And they never returned. There was so much effort to get them back, but it didn't happen. So then I decided, okay, Krishna has left me. Krishna does not want me to worship him, at least not as Shalagram Shila and Govardhan Shila. This is a clear message that Krishna is giving me. So I will humbly give up this kind of service. So for several years, I gave up the worship. And then, let's see, I think it was Mani Manjari Mataji, His Holiness Sachinandan Swami, disciple in Croatia, gave me a Govardhan Shila. And for some time I had this Govardhan Shila, and I was traveling with this fairly, I felt it was somewhat large for me to travel with. And then I met Pracharananda with his small Shalagram Shila and in Florida. And we were joking that maybe he wants to trade his small Govardhan for my larger one. And then he said that, what did he say? The rest of that night he couldn't sleep or something. And next day he said he wants to make this trade. And so we did. And then another Shalagram, and then a Shalagram Shila came to me. I believe it was Yashodarani gave me a Shalagram Shila. And I was worshiping him for some time. And then again, I traded him with Vainateya and Avantika had a small Shalagram Shila. So we traded, so to say. And then just a couple of years ago, I was in Shanghai, and I met the devotee, what's his name, Nitai Chan. Forgetting his name now. He and his wife, he's from Croatia, she's from China. They were just back from Nepal, where he had collected many Shalagram Shilas, and he was showing them to me. And as he was showing them to me, he was pointing out, this is such and such, this is Kurma, this is Sudarshan, this is Nrsingadev. And then he pointed to one and said, this is Hayagriva. And I said, Hayagriva? I've never seen a Hayagriva Shalagram Shila. And he said, you like? Then take. You like? So take him. So in this way, Hayagriva has come with his horse mane. And then more recently, this was, maybe it's already nearly a year ago in London, Dham Sevana gave me a Shalagram Shila, and I said, thank you, but no thank you. This was a quite large, rather large Shila, too much for me to travel. So he said, okay, come to my house and you pick out a smaller one, because he had several Shalagram Shilas. So I picked out one small Shila, which is black and white. He said, this is Hari-hara. And I thought, okay, that's nice. Why not? Hari-hara. Nice to have Lord Shiva together with Lord Hari. Or one can take him as Hara, as Radha, but I think of him as Shiva, Hari and Hara. And I should mention small Govardhan Shila, since, what is it now? At least 2 years, is staying in the care of Mukundamala at Sadhu Bhavan in Poland. So that's pretty much about my deities. Okay, maybe one or two others. Rasaraj from Argentina, from, what is that place called? It's a nice place I visited in the country. Srila Gurudev, what kind of worship can do the kids to the deities in home, or what can they help? And also, can you give us your blessing, because we are entering in the 14th week waiting other deity. Waiting other deity must mean waiting other child. Okay, blessings, all best wishes for your coming deity. And what can children do for deities at home? Of course, it depends on their age and their abilities. And this is something I'm not remembering clearly at the moment, what Srila Prabhupada said about age, but from a certain age, he said they can worship deities. Here again, I would say, use your common sense. The main thing again is let the experience be a positive experience. Encourage them. Even if the conditions of purity are something less than they will be in the temple. My understanding is that Krishna understands. Krishna understands, and what you don't want is to make it a negative experience. So whatever little service you can do, I still remember, and this goes back to 1987, 1989, when I first visited Hong Kong. I remember this couple, her name is Padma Mataji, and they had a small son, Haridas, a Chinese family and cute Chinese boy. And this boy was maybe 2-something years old. And when his father would sit down to chant Gayatri, this little boy would sit right next to his father and imitate his father chanting Gayatri, as if he had the Brahman thread, and he would sit there and he would close his eyes like that. So many years later, I saw him, a grown young man, nice devotee. This is what we want with children. Let them be encouraged that they will always be attracted to Krishna. Vaikuntha children. Now is a technical question which I'm not going to be able to answer from Audarya Chandrika and Dharmagupta. Which type of paint can be used for painting the Shila, because some types of artist paints are not bona fide? Well, for Shalagram Shila, certainly you want to use natural colors which can be washed off. That seems pretty basic. I have seen people, I have seen Shalagram Shilas with permanent paint on them. When I first saw that, I was a little shocked. Then again, I mean, well, I just don't feel like that's right. I feel that painting is fine, but not with. You can consult with. What I would say is you can consult with Mukunda Mala. She is doing very nice painting of Govardhan Shila. And I think she just uses kind of regular water paints, but you could consult with her. Rasaraj says he's in San Javier, Cordoba. Okay, I think we got almost, yes, I think we got through your written questions. And it is already 2 hours and 10 minutes after we started. So I think I'm going to say Hari Bol and thank you for now. And I hope you found this interesting and useful. And I hope you get a little inspiration that here we are sitting at home. Here's Krishna on his altar, or here are Gaur Nitai or Lord Jagannath. Let's do something a little special for him, for them, while we're here, while we're stuck at home.
Guru Maharaj, if I can ask, can we meet next Saturday also?
I think so. I don't think I'm going anywhere.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
I started to look at flights online to see, are the airlines starting to make scheduled flights from Mumbai? And what I found is that they have started scheduling flights from around the 15th of May. So I'm starting to think that I may book one of those flights. But yesterday, I spoke with a devotee in Mumbai who is very well connected in the international tourist business. And he advised me not to make any booking until after the lockdown ends here in India. Now, presently they're saying that the lockdown here is ending on May 3rd. But who knows? They might decide, no, we have to extend it longer. There's no way to know right now. So that's my situation right now. So we chant Hare Krishna. And we visit the cows. I'm sorry that you don't all have the opportunity to visit cows every day. Dr. Kanya Mataji is doing her cooking. Haribol! Jai Jai Haribol. So,
Jai Maharaj, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Buenos tardes. Buenos tardes. Okay. So, I'll say thank you all very much. Oh, here's another couple of messages. Oh, I got those. No, I think I got these. Okay.
Guru Maharaj, now we will unmute all, so maybe everybody will say Hare Krishna. Now will be a lot of noise, probably, our voices.
One thing I want to suggest for next time, and I don't know how to organize this because there wouldn't be time for everyone, but maybe a few devotees could do what we used to call when I was a child in school, what we called show and tell. That devotees can just say something, can show something, can explain something, whatever you want to do for, for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever. So if you can think about that, this I think will be more interesting, more fun than just me speaking.
Good idea, Guru Maharaj.
Okay. All right. So thank you all so much. And I wish you all the best for this next week.
Hare Krishna.
Govinda, Govinda.
Everybody.
Yes, Konardim the board.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath.
Haribol Guru Maharaj. Indranuja.
Okay, I'm saying
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Tak, zdaje się, że wszyscy możemy nas pożegnać, także ja też Wam bardzo dziękuję. Przepraszam, że nie udało mi się ramā-śambhu Twojego pytania przekazać i dopiero go zauważyłem.
Wonderful family, Haribol.
Następnym razem spróbujemy je zadać. Tymczasem pokorne pokłony. Zostawiam Was jeszcze chwilę z żegnającymi się bhaktami i do usłyszenia następnym razem. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you so much again for coming together. So we will complete the conversation. Guru Maharaj already left. So if anyone says something, please, you can say. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you again for coming.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Adhari
Krishna,
Prabhu.
Adhari Chandrika. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I wanted to ask, was Maharaj's voice clear in between? There's some disturbances in between. Like I felt slight disturbances in between. Yeah.
Tunga Vidya-Mataji, the problem is because they're not on mute, so I cannot hear you because many of other devotees I can hear. Maybe we can unmute all and we will mute all and then, okay, mute all.
Yes, the mute one.
Okay. Zipano.
Yes. Okay. I just found out that if we can like put some of us can switch off the video, then I just read that it gives a better transmission for Maharaj, like to hear Maharaj. So yeah. You can also check out if it is true.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for letting us know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank
you. Nandimukhi, how are you?
Hare Krishna, Brihaspati here from Poland again. I have one technical question regarding the program, because I was again doing the translation and my camera was on for some moment and then it was turned off. And I don't know if it's because some technical problem from my side, or is it that you stopped it? It says that it was stopped. I don't know.
I have to check on the recording to see what happened. We'll see on the recording later. You should be able to put your camera on, of course. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I see on the meeting alert you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it. That's the thing. And then maybe I don't know if it's important or not.
We'll check next time. We'll check this manually one by one.
Yeah, okay, I don't know, just whatever. Just saying because I'm also using external program for transmitting the meeting, and I don't know if that was the cost. That's why I'm asking. So in case it is, then I'll...
You can always write to Zoom group chat about the problems, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's also the solution.
Yeah. Yes. We will test it.
Meanwhile, thank you very much for the possible. Yeah.
Thank you for the translation again. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nandimukhi.
Hey, Bob, thank you. Wonderful. I love it.
We all did, yes.
Looking forward for next Saturday.
Nandimukhi.
So, Devi.
Hare Krishna.
Hey, Veera Gopal Prabhu. Veera Gopal, can you put camera on? Veera Gopal, can you put camera on?
No.
Okay. Hare Krishna, how are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I'm still around. Can you believe it?
No, it's normal. It's not that I cannot believe it. That's the way it is, Veera Gopal Prabhu.
Veera Gopal, very nice that you joined us.
Thank you so much for a warm welcome.
Oh, Prabhu, my mother's just asking, were you in the class as well? Hare Krishna, very good to see you here.
Hey, who's this? This is a familiar voice. Haribol. How are you? Can you hear me, guy?
Yes.
Yes. Say something more.
No, I don't know what to say. All I can say is Hare Krishna and greetings from Patamundai.
Hare Krishna.
Whatever happened to you? What happened to this meeting we were going to have?
What do you mean?
Which one?
Were we not going to have a meeting with Maharaj today?
It's over.
It just ended after 2.5 hours. Yeah.
Oh,
wait, were you
man,
late to the
And
party?
it's over 2 hours, like yes, 2.5 hours.
Next Saturday,
Hey.
there'll be another one.
Okay.
Viragopal
I thought it was at 5:30. The meeting was at 5:30, UK 11 o'clock.
No, Viragopal Prabhu, it is recorded otherwise, and you will get the recording, so you can hear everything. But next Saturday we will meet again.
Which country are you? Where are you? Which country?
I'm in China.
Okay,
Oh,
China.
okay.
So it's Rajarani Mataji. So it's like a 6 p.m.
What is the
No,
time?
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
6 p.m.
I'm in
today.
India. I'm in India. I'm in India.
Yeah, you're in India.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, you give us a heart attack.
Okay.
Yeah. Then it's the same time as Guru Maharaj has.
How do you turn this video on? I've never used this thing before.
Just tap on the small camera icon on the bottom of your screen next to the microphone.
Okay,
There's a small
all
camera
right,
icon.
all right. Let's see.
Left side. Yeah.
Oh, look at you!
Haribol, Haribol, Sugopi, Haribol.
Yeah, nice to see you.
It is so good to see all of you.
The same.
Wow.
Same here.
Yeah. And who else is there? There's Adarya Chandrika, Haribol.
Yeah.
And Prabhuji, Haribol. Am I pronounced? Rajarani, yes,
Rajrani
yes.
And Madhyana
3
Leela.
months, isn't it, Rajrani?
Haribol, Haribol,
3 months in lockdown.
Lots of love, lots of love. Multimala Nadinimai, they're not on, huh?
There were 97 devotees.
What?
Hey!
Hey! There she is. Multimala. Haribol. Haribol, so nice. Hey! Who else is there?
Mataji,
There's
where
not.
are you? Multimala Mataji, where are
Madhyana,
you?
Nitya is on
Leela.
also.
Haribol.
Hare
Haribol.
Krishna.
My goodness. Oh, Mataji, pronounce.
Pranam.
Oh, good to see you. Good to see you. Guys,
And here is
there's
also
Prabhuji.
Uddhava Mitra, Shran Ramaniya, Madhyana Leela, Mitra
Yeah.
Balaram, and
Yeah,
Valaram.
he's yeah.
Where are they? I can't see any of these guys.
I
Yeah,
saw
Uddhava Mitra has put his video.
Click on gallery view.
Terrible.
You have to click on gallery
Okay,
view.
look where I am. Can you see everything at the back? How beautiful it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Lucky you.
This is where we are. We're in the middle of a rice field,
Wow.
Beautiful.
and it is just amazing. You guys can see.
Yes. Beautiful.
Yes, yes.
And now, if somebody can tell me what happened. Somebody said 11 o'clock London
Who is that
time.
somebody? Who is that somebody?
I got a
Yeah, so it is supposed to be 11 o'clock London time. Then it is supposed to be at 3:30 here, like 4.5 hours of gap.
Oh, I got it wrong.
So next time it will be 30.
So next
Yes,
time,
3:30 p.m.
yes.
3:30 p.m.
It
India
was
time.
just bad maths.
okay. Yes. This I got it wrong. I'm so sorry. I was just so excited. I thought I'd see Maharaj. How did it go?
Wow, very nice.
It was about Maharaj. He's writing something on deity worship, and he's forming a kind of a play or a skit with two characters who are just So he was telling about them, and then there were questions from devotees about deity worship, and a lot was spoken about Shaligram worship, actually, most of it. Yeah, and I agreed with Maharaj regarding paint. Chandrika, you asked that question. Yeah, I also agree with that. I have a very tiny Govardhan Shila, and I just put Gopi Chandan. I make eyes with that. So I think that no permanent paint should be on the Shaligram. It should maintain the originality. We should try to maintain their originality. Yeah. So that was good. Maharaj said that better use something washable. So not very nice questions, and nice to see you, Prabhu.
Nice to see all of you. My goodness, it's been a while. You know, for me, it's been a absolute roller coaster of a journey. It's been phenomenal. It's unreal what I went through, and all the love and affection I got from everyone. I'm really grateful. It's been tough, to say the least, but I'm grateful. You know, the experience that I've gone through, it's changed me forever. This has definitely changed. It's life-changing.
She is always in my heart. She's always in my heart. She's just my sister. So yeah.
Yes, I think everyone had a special relationship with her. Madhyana Leela, I got your WhatsApp also. Thank you so much.
No problem.
And, yeah, I remember the trip to Germany also. It was a beautiful trip with you, Adore Chandrika.
One of the best.
Yeah, Indulek also said that this was an unbelievable trip. So thank you.
You know, Viragopal Prabhu, do you remember one devotee was also with us in the car? Do you remember one young devotee? Do you remember?
Yes.
So
of course.
Yes, when we came back, and then we drove him to the temple, and then we asked him what was the best part of this Lord Nrsimha Chaturdashi, and he was like looking down, like I'm thinking, and then he said, "You know what? The best part of this was our trip. When we were driving there and back. This was the best part for him." Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. Beautiful.
It was amazing. So yes, thank you. I cherish all the moments we had, because with you guys, you know, my wife continues to be with me, because all of you have some unique part of her with you, and this is how I now see my wife, through all of you. So I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, I have to go now. I'm not going to take more time. There's Aarti, so I'm going to say bye-bye to Madhyana Leela, to Adare Chandrika, and Prabhuji.
Bye-bye.
And who else is there? There's Nandamukhi and my sweetheart, Vrajarani, and to Maltimala, blessings, and to Vallabha Prabhuji. My pronouns to you. Bye-bye. And Nadyanamai. See you guys soon. Bye.
See you Saturday. On Saturday we see you.
3:30 p.m. 3:30 p.m.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Guru Maharaj.
Jai. Shrana Ramaniya, can you say something? Just unmute yourself.
Kuha Kusilo.
She's cooking.
Uddhava Mitra, Prabhu. He's not there. All right, dear devotees. Mitra Balaram also.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you again. And yeah, we cannot say goodbye, right? We just want to be together.
Yeah, we want to be
together. Yes.
I really miss all of you. I miss you so much.
Oh, the same. Thank you.
Yeah. Same here, dear.
Same here.
How do you come out of this meeting?
You can't.
Somebody else.
Now you dead.
Not possible.
How do you get out? Come
no
on,
way
help
out.
me. Help me.
You're stuck.
I have to go.
You just leave. You will see on the right corner. On the right corner, it's leave.
Leave meeting.
Leave meeting. You can see.
Okay. Bye.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Bye. Okay, dear devotees, I also have to go. We have another call now. So thank you again. See you next Saturday.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for arranging. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Looking forward to next Saturday.
Yes, next Saturday. And prepare something, something. Nandimukhi, for sure, from Nrsimha Farm, you have to prepare something for 2 minutes at least, please.
Yeah, I will speak with the rest of the groups here.
Yes, please do. And all,
yeah.
yes, and all of others also.
Yeah, sure. be nice. I think Maharaj would like to see all this from us now, because like you said, he was speaking more than 2 hours of sharing, when we can also.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, Devi.
Rajeshwari, you wanted to say something?
Huh?
No. Okay.
Leela, Haribol.
Haribol.
Say something.
I'm speaking. You hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
We all hear you, dear.
Huh?
We all hear you.
You all hear me. Okay, okay.
But you have to say something.
It's like breakdown of sound. What should I say? I just cook lunch and I offer it to Giri, so deity worship is going on.
Yeah. Today he dressed in red. Ekadashi outfit, huh?
Yes, Ekadashi. Simple. For Ekadashi must be simple.
Yeah. Here also, our Nisima is dressed in red and white, yeah?
I thought at first go red and white, but then I decided red and golden.
You look sweet. Thank you for sharing. I have darshan today.
Yeah, maybe I can show to others.
Yes.
I have.
They are all waiting. Oh, Arriba!
Really?
Yeah, so sweet. Us now. Only 9 devotees here. Sugopi is there.
What you said?
Sugopi is there.
Yes.
Wait. I have to.
You wouldn't believe, but our Giri is also red and white today.
Oh, okay, that's true. And also similar turban he has.
Yes. But Ekadashi is tomorrow. Ekadashi is tomorrow here.
Okay, by us is today.
Yes, yeah. We are different zone.
Yeah, right. Yeah, correct. Also in red and white. So sweet.
Yeah, white and red.
Nice. Prabhupada. Oh, nice apartment you have. Nice apartment. Thank you all for sharing. Very nice. Looking forward for next week. See, I can stay on still on this video online.
Yes, you can stay. Yeah?
Probably I'll be the last one to go off.
So, Mataji, stay well, Mataji.
Yeah,
and Hare Krishna to you all. Brajrani, you also stay nice. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu, for arranging the meeting.
Thank you, devotees, for your mercy and support.
Yes.
Saturday.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
See you next week.
See you next week, same time.
Yeah, Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Bye.